Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to your Sub Pumps Better Be Running edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. The sun is out now. It's supposed to turn a bit ugly as the day goes on. I only say that to start our show because my sump pump woke me up this morning, which meant a mad dash to the shed to get the hose to connect to the house. So for those that have watched or listened to this program for a while, you know my yearly battle with that device. But it's running so far, so that's all that matters. And hopefully for everybody out there, yours is running as well, because we got plenty of water and it ain't going anywhere for a while. Welcome to the show, everybody, on this Friday morning. It's great to be here. Wrapping up the week in style as we get set for a busy night tonight. Apparently, those of us that have identified tonight's Timberwolves game as big or huge were wrong on that. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it is huge. I think it is big. Some believe that that's just maybe the next step for this team. Either it's going to blow up or things are going to go well. We'll discuss that coming up in just a little bit as the Wolves have the win and in game tonight with Oklahoma City to face the Denver Nuggets in the opening round of the NBA playoffs after the Wolves lost on Tuesday night to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's on tap. We've got the Stanley Cup playoffs right around the bend. The Minnesota Wild had their season officially end last night, regular season that is. The postseason awaits. We still don't know who they're going to play. That is to be determined tonight because we're on the final night of the regular season tonight, and that will determine who's playing who. We'll get into that in just a little bit. We got a fun show on tap, Big Friday, as we get ready to leapfrog into the weekend. 2 weeks out, as we mentioned now, T-minus 2 weeks from the NFL draft and the excitement surrounding that, which was palpable yesterday here in Fargo because the NFL was back. More than nearly a dozen NFL scouts were in Fargo yesterday. We'll tell you about that coming up in just a little bit. We'll start with the Twins playing in New York. And usually this would be a quick segment because of how things have gone against the New York Yankees over the last 20-some-odd years. But last night, for Twins fans, I don't know if it was retribution, I don't know if it was payback, or if it was just plain fun. Because if you were still eating dinner or went for a walk like I did at 6:10 last night, then you missed the greatest half inning of Twins baseball ever played in the Empire State, bar none, because they obliterated the Yankees and their pitching last night. And it started off kind of harmlessly. Trevor Larnach up here with the bases loaded in the first inning. You think, well, what's going to happen? The Twins clearly are going to hit a ground ball, a double play, and end the inning. Larnach flies to center. That would score Edouard Julien, who got his first major league hit, makes it a 1-zip game. Jose Miranda keeps the hit parade going to the opposite field. 2-run double scores Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. It's a 3-zip Minnesota lead. They keep it going. All right, 3. That's pretty good. Love Miranda. Donovan Solano, opposite field. How about that? Opposite field hitting. It can happen in Major League Baseball. Right down the right field line. It went for a ground rule double because a fan touched it. And Miranda scores. It's 4-0. What in the world in baseball is happening here? Next hitter is Christian Vasquez, and he crushes this to left center. That would score Solano. It's a 5-0 Minnesota lead. What is going on? All against the Yankee starter, Yali Brito. Only went 2/3 of the inning, allowed 6 hits and 7 runs because there's 2 more coming. A guy we did not expect to produce this kind of offense. Michael A. Taylor with a bomb to center field. It's 7-0 Twins in the first inning. Literally, every Twin fan had to be jumping up and down. That doesn't make up for all the losses in the postseason to the Yankees. It keeps going. Julien, opposite field. He now his first career home run. He got his first career hit in the same inning. We're still in the first inning. 8-0. Minnesota. Then Correa back. He goes the opposite way for a home run. 9-0. Minnesota. And the game was over after that. But believe me, if you can't win a game when you get 9 in the first, shut the whole thing down. And I'm sure Twins fans thought this game was still in doubt when it got to 11-0 because Taylor hit another home run. But the Twins beat the Yankees 11-2 last night, scoring 9 in the opening frame. And completely lost in this was Joe Ryan. Was awesome. 7 innings, 3 hits. You see it there, 10 strikeouts. He was phenomenal. And that was just about the best start you could have for a game. How about that nerd stat? Twin starters are their 4th game with 10 or more strikeouts. They had 3 of them all of 2022. Again, we'll highlight the offense, but it's the pitching that has been so good for this start, as the Twins are now 9-4 to start this season. Look at what the lineup did last night. This is a hit parade here. Julien up the top with 2 hits, of course, in the home run. Correa gets a home run. Buxton didn't get a hit, but was on base twice because he was walked. Miranda with 2 hits. Vasquez with 3. The biggie is Taylor, because no one was counting on him to hit the ball. He's not, I mean, he was a good hitter the year the Nats won the World Series in 2019. I think he was an all-star that year when Washington won the championship. And he was out there, obviously, for his defense, but he got on base. That was not what he's been known for over the last handful of years. He's been known for his glove. But he has obviously contributed, did that in the win over the White Sox, and then 2 home runs last night at Yankee Stadium to get the Twins off to a great start. So, again, I know where we're at. We're 2 weeks into the Major League Baseball season, but much like in 2022, the Twins are off to a great start. 9-4 with a 2-game lead over the Guardians. I mean, the rest of the division is going to be what it is, which I don't think is very good, but that's a heck of a start for your Minnesota Twins. And they'll go back tonight to play game 2 of this 4-game set. They've made us change in the starting rotation, though, and now we're talking about starters, that it won't be Tyler Mahle tonight. It will be Louis Varland will start, as Kenta Maeda is going to miss a spot in the rotation. So they called up Varland from St. Paul. You remember Louis Varland actually got his Major League debut at Yankee Stadium last September when the Twins were playing out the string. But he will start for the Twins tonight. Mahle will go on Saturday. According to Dan Hayes, Kenta Maeda will have his turn skip, but could pitch in Boston. The Twins don't want to put Maeda on the injured list, but plan to rest him. So it'll be Varland tonight for his 2nd career start at Yankee Stadium, as the Twins hopefully didn't spend all their runs. They got Nestor Cortez, all-star last year, the lefty, going for the Yankees tonight. Staying with baseball, the Twins are off to a great 9-4 is really good. That doesn't hold a candle to the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays are not losing. They may not lose at all this season. They came into yesterday's game with Boston with a mark of 12-0, trying to match the best start in the history of modern baseball. And they're doing it with guys, Randy Rosarena. He doesn't ever miss a time to flex or to let you know that he did something well. Manuel Margot, it tells you when you're living well here. Bunt single to score. This game the Red Sox led 3-1. It all changed in the fifth inning. Ramirez goes down the line. That would score. Everybody blows the game open, makes it an 8-3 Tampa Bay lead. And then for good measure, by the way, those jerseys are awesome. Brandon Lowe on fire, crushes this to right field for a home run. Already his fifth of the year. And Tampa Bay beats Boston 9-3. They've tied the modern Major League Baseball record for the best start at 13-0. Tying the 1982 Atlanta Braves and the 1987 Milwaukee Brewers for the best modern start in baseball history. The only streak to start a season better than that was turned in by, of course, the St. Louis Maroons in 1884. Not 1984, 1884 of the Union Association. I can't sit here and tell you I know a whole lot about the St. Louis Maroons. I love my baseball history. I'm not a great St. Louis Maroons mind. The Rays, this is the best stat with this team. Tampa has won all but 2 of the games by 4 or more runs and have outscored opponents 101-30 with the most runs in the big leagues and the fewest allowed. Well, that's how you're going to win 13 in a row to start. 101-30. Guess how many people were there, though, at horrendous Tropicana Field? It was actually more than that. 21,175, which was the largest crowd they had since opening day. It's just, they play at an absolute dump. I'm sure some of you have gone there. I know you plenty have seen it on television when the Twins have gone and played down there. But what a ridiculous start to the season. It has been so much fun to see. And again, we talked about them with Dick Bramer in our first visit with him to start the year about just looking at teams and contenders in the American League. Who could be a factor this year? Did we count on Tampa again? Probably. I did not. When we did our Major League predictions, I think I had the Orioles as the third team in the American League with Toronto and the Yankees. And Tampa's like, no, screw that. We're not going anywhere. We're going to go and beat your brains out. And we're going to pitch amazingly well with guys that you probably never heard of. And they just continue to do that. So now they'll try and break the record, the modern record tonight. The Rays will go for history tonight as they will host with they go on the road to play the Toronto Blue Jays. Oh, by the way, the Jays are no chumps here at 8-5, but that they'll go for that tonight north of the border against Toronto. Real quick before we wrap up our opening segment, set up what we got a busy show for you. We mentioned the draft less than 2 weeks out, and the NFL scouts were back in town yesterday, and they were for former Bison tight end Noah Gindorf was holding his own pro day yesterday up inside the NDSU indoor practice facility, and 9 different scouts were on hand. Of course, Gindorf did not participate in the Bison Pro Day, still waiting to get his ankle healed. 2 weeks later, you saw him do the 3-cone drill. And then he did some individual work. 9 NFL teams were there, which I think tells you enough that what they think of Gindorf. And again, we had Jim Nagy on the show yesterday, and if you missed that, it was excellent. You can podcast that at Inforum.com. That tells you what they think of Gindorf's ability, and had he been completely healthy, that this may be a different story. What was really interesting is that there was a position coach there. That man right there. Steve Hyden, the tight ends coach, was here. which might tell you all you need to know. When you send a scout, it's one thing. But when you send a position coach, that's different. That would tell you then that, all right, well, what do they think maybe a little bit more of said player? You'll remember last year, maybe Eric remembers the stat, how many wide receiver coaches were here for Christian Watson's pro day. And it was NDSU's pro day, but they had actual wide receiver coaches that came here. We had a couple of offensive line coaches just a few weeks ago here for NDSU's pro day to work out with Mauk and Nash Jensen. That tells me that there's some momentum to this, that I understand Noah hasn't played a ton of football since December of 21. That's when he broke his ankle for the first time against Southern Illinois. He played the 3 games last year. He got the game in, as he told us, when he sat here against Arizona. I think that meant something more than probably he was willing to admit that day, and clearly it did for the Scouts. Am I saying he's going to get drafted? I think there's a good chance, honestly. His frame, his ability to block, his ability to catch the ball, the health is the big thing. You heard Jim Nagy talk about that, and it looked like yesterday he was moving around pretty well. And he said it, that his ankle feels as good as it has since the first time the injury happened. Could we have 3 Bison players get drafted? That would be something else in a couple weeks' time. We know 1. We're pretty sure on 2. 3, that'd be a heck of a deal if that ends up coming to pass here in a couple weeks' time. But good to see big number 87 back out there working yesterday. We have a fun show coming up for you here on this Friday in just a few minutes. Mason Walters will join us, the pride of Jamestown. As we told you yesterday, Mason has made up his mind of where he's going to spend his final year of college eligibility in Laramie, Wyoming, in the Mountain West Conference at the University of Wyoming. He'll tell us about the visit there last week and why he was able to pull the trigger there on the Cowboys, coming up at 9:35. Logan Campbell will be by in her usual Friday slot. Plenty to chat about with Logan, including our game of how well does she know Virginia. Last week it was moderately okay. We'll see how she does this week coming up at 10 o'clock. And Brad Schlossman will join us at 10:35 to wrap up our week. Jonathan Taves, the outstanding captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, former UND standout, played his last game in Chicago, his last game in the NHL, and we'll reflect on the college hockey season wrapping up last weekend with some monster ratings, by the way. The Frozen Four got its highest ratings in 13 years. We'll dive into that with Brad coming up before we wrap up the show. That and a heck of a lot more here on a Friday morning. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Vikings had their non-informational pre-draft press conference. What did they say there? And will Rudy even play for the Wolves tonight? We'll dive into that when Hot Mike returns on a Friday. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike rolling on, Friday morning edition. Mason Walters coming up from Jamestown about 15 minutes from now about his decision to play hoops at the University of Wyoming. We'll dive into that in just a little bit. Again, headline on the Star Tribune: Twins' biggest inning ever in New York opens 11-2 demolition of the Yankees. If that doesn't make everybody smile that's a fan of that baseball team, nothing will after what happened there yesterday in the Bronx. Couple things here. We're going to hear from Vikings general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in just a second on the pre-draft press conference, which is, again, we're in the middle of lying season, so you can take that for what it's worth. Yesterday, the Wolves had their team photo day, which I thought was hilarious in the aftermath of what happened just a couple of days ago. But they also had their media access, and you just kind of shake your head at this because Rudy Gobert is eligible to play tonight after what happened on Sunday afternoon with the punch against Kyle Anderson. And then, of course, he was suspended. Now, when you hear Gobert say it, looks like he wouldn't have played anyway against the Lakers He said the back spasms that almost caused him to miss Sunday's game against New Orleans, and that's why I think he was even more, quote-unquote, sensitive, is because he was playing hurt, quote-unquote, against the Pelicans on Sunday, would have caused him to miss the game Tuesday night against the Lakers, and he's not sure if he's going to play tonight against the Thunder. Gobert said, I don't think I should have played the New Orleans game. I tried to be a superhero, but I couldn't move. If I'm out there and I can't move, I can't be myself. Well, he was able to move pretty well in the punch against Kyle Anderson. Gobert said yesterday in practice, he's still not moving like I would like to be able to move. Join the party there, buddy. It's getting better every day. Today I can't move like I would like to be moving, but every day has been better. Hopefully tomorrow is better, which means today for the game tonight with the Thunder. Gobert said about the incident, we both apologize to each other and you move on. That's life. It's different when you have millions of people all watching videos and have an opinion on things that happen, but that we can't control. What we can control is the respect that we have for each other and our relationship. You know, that it's fine, but you can't go and do that all over in front of camera. I mean, it's one thing, and these happen all the time in the NBA when you have it, you know, in the locker room where the cameras aren't there. But if you're going to do that in front of everybody, including the 18,000 or 19,000 that were at Target Center, and for everybody was watching, what did you think was going to happen? Of course everybody's going to pour over it and have an opinion on it. And it makes them look immature. It makes the Wolves look immature. It looks Gobert immature. And I know there's a opinion on him from what happened, heck, right before COVID outbreak, that he was the guy that he had it and was rubbing the microphones all over when he played for the Jazz the day before the world ended. To his relationship with Donovan Mitchell, to him putting out some conspiracy tweets. There's an aptitude there to not like him, and an aptitude of immaturity that does not help in this situation. So when you think, is tonight a big game? I think it's, and Jim Souhan wrote this in the Star Tribune this morning, that it's the biggest game for Gobert going forward. This may work out. I know every Wolves fan, and I've said it, look, the trade looks horrendous right now. But if he stays on the floor, Cat stays healthy, with the group that they have, who knows, maybe they do run it back next year with this same group and they end up winning a lot of games. I don't know. But right now, it seems like an immature team with a coach that can't figure it out. And if they lose this game tonight, and they very well could, to a team that's not even really supposed to be either trying or trying to win, that is a brutal way to end one of the most highly anticipated. And I know they haven't had a whole lot of highly anticipated seasons for a franchise that's been stuck in the doldrums. If they don't even make the playoffs, because this is not a playoff game, it's not a regular season game. It's somewhere in that in-between world. If they don't win tonight, that is not going to be good. Even if they were to go and lose in 5 to Denver, you still made it. Like last year, I still feel they had a legitimate chance to beat the Grizzlies. And I think had they won the game, that's what makes the game Tuesday so painful, that Memphis is not as good as they were last year. That the Wolves had a heck of a chance to beat Memphis this year in the 2 spot. That's why I think everybody was clamoring to be the 7, because you had a chance to get by the Grizzlies. So I think everybody's on the Laker bandwagon right now. And that's why it hurts so much. We'll have more on that before we go. Real quick, I wanted to play this soundbite from yesterday's Viking press conference. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell meeting with the media. Asked a few things, specifically about the futures of Dalvin Cook and Zadarius Smith. Also, you'll hear about where they're going with quarterback. Here, I want you to hear what Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah says here about Kirk Cousins.
Do you feel it's important to have the succession in place for when Kirk is eventually gone?
We talk about that all the time. I don't I don't know that there's one right answer, to be honest. Ideally, you probably would want to have a year to have the person in the building or something like that, but I don't know that that's necessary, and Kev can probably comment after I'm done here. It just depends on the player, depends on all those things. But I will say this, the most important thing we believe in evaluating that position is understanding the different aspects of the game that person succeeds at to give their value. And me and him have to be on the same page as to what that is and how we're going to use that person. That's how you start and give yourself a chance to succeed. Everything else after that, I believe, is secondary.
What was your biggest disappointment about your defense last year?
I think defense is one of those positions. It's tough, right? If you get off the field on that third down, nobody sees those next 5 plays where they might give up yards, and it's good defense and quote unquote maybe not as good defense can change with just a few plays situationally. So, our inability to get those plays, but ultimately, I don't know the cause of those things, right? You don't know in the moment. I think could they be usage or whatever? I don't know the answer to that question, but I will say that we played a lot of good football. We didn't play it maybe at the moment we needed to play, but we played a lot of good football, and there's a lot of people to credit for that. And I take everything personally. So at the end of the year, I try and look at what could I have done better, and we spent the offseason trying to do that.
I love these because there's a lot of guys saying a lot of words that just mean nothing. It's literally word salad. It's just garble. It's just a mess. Like, what did you get out of that? Outside of, the Vikings defense sucked last year. They've tried to address it as much as they can, and their plan at quarterback is basically we're going to ride it out with Kirk this year, and then we'll see if we can find – because from everything that I've been reading on this, that the two sides, it's not like they didn't try to get together on a contract extension. They did. They couldn't find a agreement for each side to be happy on it. And that's why we're at where we're at now with this, that maybe they're ready to let it ride for 23 and then see what happens. That's why if they end up taking a QB early, that'll be real interesting. Who knows? Maybe they come to a deal with Kirk after the draft. I don't know. But going to make it for a fun couple weeks. And again, I'm of the mindset I don't believe Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Cook are on this roster for 2023. But we'll see. There's still 2 weeks to go before the draft begins. And actually 2 weeks before things really get interesting, because 2 weeks from tonight is the second and the third round. And I think everybody is aiming as 2 weeks from tonight is when Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to make a deal. And if it doesn't happen 2 weeks from tonight, then look out after that on that particular deal. Because I think everybody's still kind of waiting to see what happens there. We're going to take a break. We come back. Mason Walters is heading to the Mountain West. We'll visit with him about his decision to head to the University of Wyoming. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody, to Hot Mike here, Friday morning edition, WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. Getting ready for a busy weekend. Bison baseball and softball have had their schedules adjusted. UND softball is actually coming down here to play. Just trying to get games in when we can. Looks like some of our area baseball teams are heading to Sioux Falls to finally get their first games of the seasons in. West Fargo, Cheyenne, Shanley, I think Davies are all heading to Sioux Falls. So excited them to finally get a baseball game under their belts here this weekend. Well, we saw the news came down Wednesday night that we've been following for a little bit as Jamestown's Mason Walters made his commitment known that he's going to head to the Mountain West Conference and play at the University of Wyoming and play for the Cowboys to spend his final year of eligibility. And he's good enough to join us once again now that this is over and done with. So first, congrats. I know you were in Laramie last weekend. Tell me about the visit. What stood out to say this is where I want to go?
Yeah, I was down there Thursday through Saturday. So I kind of just fell in love with it, really, to be honest. Just the facilities, the coaching staff, the players there. I just felt like it was a perfect fit for me. in a great place and something I want to be a part of. And I just kind of wanted to hop on the opportunity and take advantage of it.
When they reached out, was that a school that had your attention right away, or did you know much about them?
I kind of knew a little bit about them just right away, and they kind of had my attention from kind of initial phone call. Those first 48 hours were kind of crazy, and that's kind of one that stood out to me. And I had a Zoom with Coach Linder after that, and that was my first one. And to be honest, I kind of fell in love with him after that, just talking with him and learning about him. And he's a great dude and something I'm excited to be able to learn from him every single day. So,
what surprised you, Mace, about going out there? Was there anything that you stuck like, oh, I wasn't expecting this?
To be honest, I didn't really know much about Laramie itself, but it's kind of cool town, a small college town, kind of similar to Jamestown. I think its population is like double of Jamestown, but still it's kind of like North Dakota. Everyone kind of supports each other, and Wyoming obviously is a big supporter of Wyoming basketball, and that's something that stood out to me. And then kind of just the facilities itself, just kind of the step up from, NAI to the resources we have here compared to there is kind of crazy and something that I'm looking to take advantage of.
How big is it too that for University of Wyoming, that's the thing in the state? That's what everybody follows, from what I'm told out there, whether it's football or basketball. Was that a thing for you?
Yeah, definitely. They talked about it being the only four-year university, and then also being no professional teams like here is pretty cool. So obviously everyone supports it and backs it, and I'm really excited to kind of get down there and see what it's all about.
So last you were on was literally, I think, the day after you put your name in the portal, and you had what I think you told us, like 30 some odd schools. Tell us about this process of whittling that down. Was it overwhelming, stressful, a little bit of both?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely overwhelming, a little stressful at first. Just obviously out of high school, having, like we've talked about before, just 3 offers, and then having 50 plus schools reach out to me in that period of time was pretty crazy and a little overwhelming. And obviously I can only pick one school to go to, and it's never easy to say no to a coach or let them know that you're not going to be coming there, which is very tough. But I would say overwhelming and stressful, but also very exciting. Just something different, and be able to hear that interest from schools is pretty cool and pretty exciting as well.
Well, I wanted to ask that, just that there was that many schools that wanted you or were interested in you. What does that say about your game and what people think of your talent?
Right. Yeah. I appreciate, every single school I reached out. Obviously I couldn't, like I said before, can only pick one, but at the same time, it's cool to kind of hear from a bunch of different schools and how much respect they have for my game. It's really cool, and I appreciate it.
We were talking about this yesterday, that the Mountain West has San Diego State in it, who obviously played in the NCAA championship game. This is some heavy hitter schools that you're going to be going into. Describe that, the challenge of what you're going to be facing on a night-to-night basis now.
Yeah, like you said, obviously it's a jump up in competition, but I'm excited for it. I want to compete and get better and push myself. So I'm excited for that opportunity, that challenge, and I'm looking forward to it and excited to keep getting better.
So we're talking Nevada, New Mexico, Las Vegas, Boise, Utah State. You got your travel went a little bit different here, from Dort to Vegas and San Diego, man. That might be a bit of and Bellevue, that might be a little bit of a jump.
Yeah. They were talking about how they chartered their flights to games and stuff. I'm used to some 8-hour bus trips, so I'm definitely excited about that.
When's the last time you were on a plane? What was that?
Yeah, we went on a plane this year to Tennessee once, and just one time, in California once the year before that. So yeah, I'll be getting used to that now as well.
I guess the skeptics would say, okay, they're taking an NAI guy to step up. Just the transition of that. Tell us about, I guess, coming in with a chip on your shoulder, and going out to try and prove. How do you, I guess, deal with that mentally, knowing there's going to be critics out there saying, can this kid even play?
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely kind of been internally motivated my whole life, and it's kind of pushed me to keep getting better, even throughout my years at Jamestown. And I'm going to be the same way and have that same chip on my shoulder and come in trying to work as hard as I can and learn as much as I can, like I said. And I run a great group of dudes and coaches at Wyoming, and they're going to help and support me, and I'm going to pour into them as well. So I'm excited. And like I said, I'm internally motivated, so it's going to just push me to keep getting better.
I think there were some that wanted to know why NDSU didn't work out. Was there any chatter that you wanted to have with NDSU? Did it not come to pass?
I talked with Coach Richmond on the phone, and I talked to Bo a little bit about it. But I was kind of looking more so to get away from Jamestown with my last year and kind of explore other options and kind of get used to living away from home. This Fargo being so close, I'm so familiar with it. I just kind of wanted to branch out a little bit farther and see something new. But I definitely appreciate them reaching out to me and giving me a chance. And obviously, playing with Bowden would have been cool as well. But just looking for a different experience.
What has been the reaction? Just either in just telling your mom and your fam, like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. What was that reaction like?
Yeah, they were definitely supportive with whatever decision I made. They really liked the visit as well, and they were going to support me no matter what. But I've had a lot of people reach out to me, just old coaches, friends, obviously my teammates, and just people in general in Jamestown who've been excited and have been talking to me. So it's kind of cool to see everyone supporting me and continue to support me as well.
What did you get a chance to meet any of your future teammates? Or were they around, or what was the experience when you went on your visit last week?
Yeah, there were a couple of guys there just in the spring doing workouts and stuff, so that was cool. And then there was a transfer there with me as well on a visit, and two of their freshmen coming in. So that was pretty cool to kind of get to meet them initially, and looking forward to get down this summer and being around them more.
Well, that was my next question, Mace. What's the timeline for you now, man? When can you get there? When do things start?
Yeah, so the last I talked to Coach on my visit, June 12th was their plan for workouts, and obviously if they go sooner or later, I'll be down there for those. So either that first week or June or second week, I'll be down there and be down there for the summer. I might be back for a little bit in August before school starts, but that's kind of my plan, and I want to be down there for workouts and get rolling.
And you have first the graduation, right? You got that coming up
Right.
at Jamestown. That's a huge deal, and I know everyone's excited. I know you are certainly about what's to come, but that just to what you've done for the last 4 years, set yourself up for that. I'm sure you've thought about it. Is that something you think about when you actually leave, or when do you think that'll click? Like this, the last 4 years made this now possible.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a relief, kind of committing, just knowing now that I know where I'm going, and now I can kind of enjoy my last months here. And I kind of set in on my visit, just kind of appreciating my time in Jamestown and all the people there, kind of looking to shift now. I think I'm starting to appreciate it more, and I think I've always been super appreciative and glad that I've been able to play at such a special place. And obviously Jamestown will mean a lot to me no matter where I go or where I end up or how long I play basketball. So just had a great 4 years, and like I said, I'll be watching Jimmy games next year, hopefully be back for a couple in person. But yeah, it's been a great run, and I'm super blessed to have been coached by good coaches and play with a lot of great players and great dudes. So.
What are you most excited about at the Division I level? What's either on the court or off the court that you're excited to experience?
Kind of just the facilities in general, and the kind of the coaching staff, and kind of how much access and abilities they have to help me get better, just from the strength coaches, just how personalized they are to the individual workouts. I'm just kind of looking forward to being able to be coached and pushed by those guys, and see how much better I can get with obviously only having 1 year left.
Does it feel like you're going like and this is no slight to Jamestown, from the minor leagues to the majors of what this transition will feel like?
Right, definitely. I mean, obviously, like I said, I've had great coaches here, and just the ability to have 4 or 5 student managers just ready to rebound for you whenever you want or help work you out, and 5 or 6 assistant coaches. I've had great experience with Coach Neville and Coach Peterson here. They've helped me out so much in the summer and put in so much time with me, and I really appreciate that from them. And I've told them that before, but I'm super excited, like I said, for that opportunity at the next level.
All right, last question before I let you go. If I were to sit here and tell you 5 years ago, but when you won the state championship, you're about to enroll at Jamestown, okay, but 4 years from now, you're going to go play Division I basketball, would you have believed me?
I'm not gonna lie, no, but obviously I would have never imagined I have. But like I said, it's just kind of a testament to, I've said before, but just working hard and being consistent. I think that can go a long way, and it's something that people can take away and look at and be like, that's a kind of a way to get better and keep pushing yourself.
It's great to see you, man. Congratulations on this. It's been fun to follow, to see everybody come out of the woodwork that wanted you, and enjoy this a little bit. Congrats on graduating, and let's visit again before you head out to Laramie, okay?
For sure. Sounds good.
Congrats, man. There he goes. Mason
Thanks,
Walters now from Jamestown to Laramie, Wyoming. He'll be heading to the Mountain West Conference, matching up with some guys we know, like Tim Miles, Richard Pitino. Those are some guys that know they're a little bit about basketball. And, you know, I think for Bison fans that were hopeful for a Jamestown reunion, you heard him say it, you know, that he wanted to get out and experience something outside of the state of North Dakota. Can't fault the kid for that. He's had a chance to basically play, I'm not saying basically, he played at home the last 4 years. So now to go and experience something different, that's pretty cool. Congratulations to him, and we'll be watching. I mean, fun to watch next winter when he laces it up for the Cowboys. We'll take a break and wrap up hour one after this. Fun second hour of our show on tap. We'll do that when Hot Mike rolls on a Friday morning right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Hot Mike here on this Friday morning. WDAY Extra Inforum.com. Our thanks to Mason Walters for giving us a few minutes. Logan Campbell coming up at the top of the hour. Brad Schlossman in our second hour as well. I wanted to make sure we got time for this story in before we say goodbye for the week, because it is a good story. It's one of those ones you just sink your teeth into. Yesterday morning, a kind of a shocking press release went out from Illinois State University, member of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Bison play them routinely. Will not see them actually in 2023. That their AD, Kyle Brennan, resigned. And abruptly. And it was kind of that kind of press release that makes you think something's up. Because all it said is he's has resigned, effective April 30th, 2023. And then story comes out from WGLT in Bloomington. Headline, ISU Athletics Director resigns after questions about spending for Big Ten trip on Aaron Rossi's plane. And it is a sordid story, I will tell you that Brennan, the AD, resigned following questions he got from the station about spending on a donor trip to the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis and flying on one of Aaron Rossi's private planes. Rossi's a big-time, apparently, donor who became a multimillionaire after his company emerged as a COVID-19 testing giant during the pandemic. Less than 2 months after a trip together, Rossi pledged a $3 million donation to the new indoor practice facility that Illinois State is building. Part of this, though, is the trip that they went to Indianapolis, which happened December 4th of 2021. And his top assistant, Brennan's top assistant, again, he's the AD, former AD now, that they bought 9 100-level game club tickets on StubHub within a day of kickoff in 3 separate transactions. The tickets cost nearly $19,000. They flew from Bloomington Central Illinois Regional Airport to Indianapolis on a private jet owned by Rossi. Now, here's the part that gets interesting. It's unclear what exactly the ISU athletic staff and donors did in Indianapolis after the Big Ten football game ended, although some in the group apparently ended the evening at the Red Garter Gentlemen's Club in downtown Indianapolis. That's a short walk from Lucas Oil Stadium. So you've got that thrown in there. You've got all sorts of spending that shouldn't be happening. It's just a bad deal. And now the AD has resigned. and you've got a guy, the major donor, whose company is under investigation by the government, it adds up to a really, really bad situation at Illinois State. And I know some of the people there, the good people that want to do a good job, have done a good job, but this university has faced some economic strife there as well. There's no doubt about that. You'll remember 2 years ago, Illinois State was one of the teams that they played the Bison. I think they played a week after that ended their season early because they ran out of players during the weird spring COVID year. I don't think they've really fully recovered now in the 2 years since. Brock Spack's team has really struggled in the fall of 21 and then the fall of 22. We saw Illinois State come up here late October and couldn't do anything. Now, the Redbirds aren't on the schedule for the Bison for the next 2 seasons as part of the addition of Murray State. But this is there's more going to come out on this. Already that's come out is not good. And whoever takes over has got a massive cleanup job to do in Bloomington. So you can read more about that. I tweeted it out yesterday. You can check it out on my Twitter page at Dom Izzo, WDAY. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll start hour 2 on this Friday. Logan Campbell, you buy. She's got some breaking Bison football news to share. We'll dive into that when we begin hour 2 on this Friday morning, right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
You know what? It's not my fault you're like in love with me or something. What?
Oh, no, she did not.
I hear her hair is insured for $10,000.
We need someone there that knows what they're doing, obviously.
Wow, look at that. We
that
promised
was
you.
awesome.
We promised we'd make a new intro for
Hopper
you.
crushed it. That was so good. So good. Good job, Hopper.
Yeah,
good job.
It was. Looks pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious.
Logan Campbell in studio with us for her Friday appearance. I got huge news, but you're going to beat me to the punch. You got some breaking news.
I did.
What do you
Beat
got
you this
for
time.
us? Yeah.
Courtney Eubanks finally found a home.
Former Bison cornerback?
Yep. He is going to be going to Coastal Carolina in the fall. So,
okay.
Another one to the Sun Belt from NDSU.
So he put this on social media, on his Instagram earlier this morning.
Yes, an hour ago.
Okay. So that means it's officially official when anybody does that nowadays. So, okay. We have been wondering, and now we have our answer, at least on of the 3 guys that left after the season ended. He is the first to find a home. Kobe Johnson and Dom Jones are still out there. We saw Courtney at NDSU's Pro Day a couple weeks ago, which I thought was bizarre.
Well, I mean, they're all still friends with each other.
I still think it was odd. To me, it was odd. Because if you're going to go, then
separate yourself,
go,
is what
right?
you think. Okay.
Now, people will look at this, and I think on the outside, think that Eubanks, Kobe, Dom Jones were all leaving for Power 5 opportunities. Coastal Carolina is not a Power 5 school. They're a member of the Sun Belt. They lost in the Birmingham Bowl this past year. They won 9 football games. They are a good school. It's a good group of 5. But that is again, we've only seen one. Marquis Siegel's the only one that landed at a Power 5 at Kansas State. And we'll see how much he plays this fall.
Right.
But Phoenix Sproles is in the same league now, as you mentioned to me off air.
That'll be interesting to see them go up against each other.
Because James Madison plays Coastal Carolina. They are, quote-unquote, rivals in the Sun Belt. Dom Ganella has walked on to the University of South Florida. That's a group of 5 school. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's more cautionary than not that, okay, you go, but are you going to sit here and tell me that NDSU and Coastal, I think they're similar, personally. I know how much they spend at Coastal. I know how much.
I wouldn't say the program is necessarily better. I will say, though,
location is way better.
Is way better.
It's Myrtle Beach.
You're moving from the Arctic tundra to the beach.
Yep.
So I mean,
falling at the beach. That's what they call it.
Exactly. So I mean, that's the only way I think it's better. I'm sure he will. Well,
he's closer to home.
Closer to home,
and that's the thing.
I'm sure he'll start, but he was doing that here. So I don't know, but good for him for finding a spot because, we see these people that enter the transfer portal and they still have not gone anywhere. So good for him for landing somewhere.
I think still, though, the stigma of this is, well, why are you leaving? Are you leaving to go, if you're going to Michigan, you know what I mean? If you're going to a Big Ten school or a school of that caliber, it's one thing. But if you're going to a group of 5, then is this necessarily a step up? That's my point on it. I don't believe it is.
I wouldn't think so either.
But location is a big thing that you hammered on that. Young man's from Florida. This is South Carolina. You're right there. I mean, it's not necessarily North Dakota and a ways away. And I think we've noticed that with the players that have gone in. It's most of the guys that have come from the South.
Yep.
I mean, you have 2 Georgia guys, a couple of Florida guys.
It's hard living
3
up
Florida
here.
guys.
It's hard living up here, I mean, they have a team, though, so, I think that makes it a little bit better. So I wouldn't say that, they're moving just because of location. And, we don't know because they wouldn't talk to us when we asked.
Correct, right.
What was
and that's
happening.
the point, because I've had people have you tried? Yes, we have.
Yeah, they wouldn't
several
talk to
times.
us.
We got Bupkis on this. I think we'll try again just to talk to Courtney about why Coastal was the place to go. But it's over and done with now. And, again, like we mentioned off the top, Kobe Johnson and Dom Jones have not – if they have found a spot, they have not announced it publicly. I don't think that's something, though, in this day and age, if you found a spot, you keep that under your hat. You know what I mean? Like, if they found a spot.
You're saying they do or don't?
No, but I'm saying if they have, they would have told us.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to keep that secret. Not in today's day and age. You know what I mean?
I feel like they tweet out, offers that they even get, not even where they're going. So, no, we would know if they were going somewhere, I would think.
To a larger extent, though, just I'm wrapping on the Eubank stuff, when the ones that he had made known, Jackson State, Colorado State, Akron, those were the 3 that we knew.
When did he post those is my question.
I'm looking right now. Akron was March 2nd.
Okay.
Colorado State was March 3rd. Jackson State was March 4th.
So those were at the very beginning when he probably started getting offers. And then he probably was like, I'm going to keep this low key because I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for him because I haven't heard from him. I don't know his reasoning why. But yeah, it's all just the transfer portal is just really changing everything.
The one thing that didn't, I was looking here, his goodbye post that he put out there, and that said officially enter the portal. He didn't say anything. That was pretty much it. The typical thank you and goodbye. I was curious if he put in there anything of I was looking to play at a higher level or something like that.
I don't think anyone really says that though.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of implied that they hope that they can. But how embarrassing would that be if you're like, I'm going to play at a higher level and then you commit to a Coastal Carolina?
Well, that's right.
That would be so embarrassing. So I don't think they would say
but
that.
that's been more often than not the case with
I'm not
guys
saying playing for Coastal's embarrassing, but I'm just saying it's not that much of a step up, if any.
That's the point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line of the whole thing. It's not like it's going to Miami or going to Florida State, Clemson, Georgia, something of that ilk. It's Coastal's a nice school, but they're 5-6 years removed from FCS. I mean, they're not that far removed from being on the same level of where the Bison are. So
okay, let me ask you this because you're kind of crapping on the Sun Belt.
I'm not crapping on it. I like the Sun Belt.
What do you think about JMU then? Because they played
Coastal,
right?
Yep.
So do you think that would be a step up or same step as NDSU?
Same. It's the same.
Okay.
I think NDSU could go into the Sun Belt and be really good, much like James Madison proved it.
Yeah.
JMU went in and showed NDSU could go in there and do the same thing in my mind. So to answer your question, I'm not crapping on it. I'm just saying it's not that higher up. We're not talking they're going into the Big Ten or the SEC on that.
No,
so,
and I think I would agree. I think NDSU
because we saw it. James Madison proved it this past fall of what you know what I mean. Like they could have won a bowl game had they been eligible. There's not a doubt in my mind on that.
Yeah, and Coastal shouldn't have even been fighting for
the right, because JMU wasn't eligible. That's the only
Right.
reason why Coastal played in the Sun Belt title game in the first place and got spanked around by Troy. You look their last 3 games. We talked about this on air, and then I want to move on. Gave up 47 to JMU, 45 to Troy, 53 to East Carolina. Defense not that great.
Maybe
there.
Courtney Eubanks is the answer they need for the defense.
And they got a new coach there because their coach Chadwell left to go take the Liberty job, which is in Virginia, which ties into what we always talk about. Our big story, though, I can't believe you didn't come in doing cartwheels because it was all over
You were not in the office yesterday when the news broke. Everyone was like, Logan, shut up. I'm like, no, like this is like my Christmas morning.
So we're talking about, obviously, the story that was all over. The Washington Commanders look like they have reached a preliminary non-exclusive agreement to sell the team to a group led by Josh Harris, who also co-owns teams in the NBA and the NHL, for a record $6.05 billion. That's according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. So the Snyders are apparently on their way out.
I will say, I ran around the office. Poor Eric was the first person I saw. Just gave him a huge hug. I seriously wanted to cry. I was so happy. My family group chat was popping off.
Yes.
I used to work for Washington.
Yeah.
We have not talked in that group chat in like a year. That was going crazy. Everyone was like, everyone better be drinking tonight. Like, it's like we are partying. And the craziest part to me, though, is that Dan Snyder bought this organization for $800 million, and now he's selling it for $6 billion. Why is it that much more expensive? I don't understand what happened between that time.
It's the NFL, so everybody went up.
I get it, but they were not. Did they won what? One playoff game, 2, 3 Dan Snyder.
If you don't know, I'm not gonna. I don't know.
They have not done much since he bought it. So I'm glad he's out. We're now Super Bowl contenders.
Wow.
I said it.
That's soon,
I said
huh?
it.
Well, the new owner is going to have. He's got his work cut out for him, because right? Because you've said this on the show before, and when new stadium, right, is number one.
That's the first. That's what I saw something yesterday saying that's the first order of business, finding a new stadium.
Because the stat I saw on SportsCenter last night, I couldn't believe this. When Snyder bought the team in '99, Washington was number one in attendance. This past year, they were 32nd. There's 32 teams. They were dead last. I couldn't believe that.
I can.
I guess, but you've always told me, it's more visiting fans that come watch them play than the actual.
So when he bought
Commander fans.
it was in DC. RFK was in DC.
Right.
And I don't think I ever went to a game there. I don't know when they moved it, but my parents were like, you literally, is standing room only, were the only tickets you could get. They the bleachers were moving back and forth because there were so many people there. People would be lined up in where the concourse just to watch the game. And they said it was so fun. It was so electric. And then you go to Landover, Maryland, where there's absolutely nothing there.
That's where the FedEx Field is now. Okay.
There's nothing there. I've said this so many times. There's nothing but a Popeye's chicken within a 20-mile radius of that place. It's so bad. There's no atmosphere. The stadium, there's nothing exciting happening. Yeah, Eric said they've won 2 playoff games since he bought it. So, I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad they're going to find a new place. They need to find it in a better location. I think they said they're not going to move it to D.C. I think Muriel Bowser said she's not going to approve that, which is sad because that would be the ideal place. But I've seen Northern Virginia as a spot that they're really looking at, and they're going to build this whole place around it. So that would be cool.
So the Vikings have done that with TCO Performance Center. They've basically built a city on top of where they have their training complex is at.
And they kind of did that with Nats Park, which you have to go back to because I know you don't like that place. But they kind of did that with Nats Park, so I'm assuming they'll do that with wherever they build this new stadium, which I hope happens soon.
Well, it's one of the legendary franchises in the NFL. It is, and it's been terrible for 2 decades.
It's
literally,
sad. It's really sad.
When Al Michaels was saying on the Thursday night game that, and he said that the league would prefer that Snyder sell them. That was the first time I think anybody had said it on television. Yeah. And then Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, saying, they got to get him out of here. There's every sort of investigation. You work there. You told me it's a bad work environment there for the people that I'm sure you still have friends that are still in the building there, I imagine.
I only have one.
Yeah.
Zach is the last one there. Everyone else left. I have 2. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And, you get so excited about NFL. But then when you do that, you're like, oh, man, it's not what people say the NFL is like. So hopefully that this is a good change. I guess we'll see in a matter of a few years. I'm hoping it's a quick turnaround, but I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive.
So, ironically, by the way, the league could sign off on this. The league meetings are in Minneapolis, May 22nd through the 24th.
Send me.
Next month.
Send me.
The NFL's 8-member finance committee will examine the documents and then put it to a vote of the other 31 team owners. This guy owns the 76ers. I didn't know what NHL team does he own. I didn't know that. the guy who's probably on the Commanders. And this is the same group with Magic Johnson involved, correct?
So Magic Johnson's been the one that's been the most vocal about it.
Yeah.
I've seen interviews with him. He seems if Magic Johnson's involved in it, I'm sure it's going to be something good, something big. People are like, okay, so are they going to rebrand again? Which I don't think that they will.
Okay, so change the team name. I just got an email to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Are they going to change the team name?
I don't know. I would assume not because they literally just did that. And when they changed the Washington football team, that one was like...
Oh, he owns the Devils, by the way.
Oh, is that
Harris
what it is?
owns the 76ers and the Devils.
So when they changed to the Washington football team, everyone was like, what the heck? Like, that's a really boring name. But then people started to like it.
Everybody got on board with that.
So now it's been a year, and everyone's like, okay, well, it is what it is. I don't know if they're going to change. I don't think that they will, just because that's a whole entire process. And that took like a whole year just to do rebrand for the Commanders. Like, it takes a long time to do it. So if they do it, it's not going to happen as soon as the new ownership
we're talking,
changes.
It'd be a
It's
couple
going to
years.
take a while.
Yeah.
Right. So
what's your gut tell you? Do they keep Commanders or will they change it?
I think they're going to keep it. I don't know, though. I don't know, because I was
I go back to Washington football team. I do that in a heartbeat.
Well, I was talking with my friends that still work there, and they're like, yeah, we don't really know what's going to happen once this gets approved, we don't know what's going to happen with anyone's job in there. Like, are they going to clean house? Yeah. They don't know. So
it's nerve-wracking, too.
Yeah, so they're a little bit nervous about that. I'm sure they're fine. They're both great people. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what actually changes and what comes to fruition. So I'm excited about it, though. Even though
handstands done here.
Yes.
Handshakes, hugs, and handstands.
Well, and it's funny because everyone was like, Logan, were you even like alive to see the good years? And I was like, no, I wasn't. So this is why this is exciting for me, because now I can maybe get to see some good years in my lifetime.
Maybe. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. We'll Logan tell us what she's been working on, a couple cool things. We get ready for the draft and our weekly How Well Do You Know Virginia?
Oh, boy.
And this surrounding area. We'll do that when Hot Mike rolls on right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Logan Campbell back with us. Just came through on the old Twitter machine. Oral Roberts lost another guy, Patrick Mwamba. He's the guy that went for like 18 threes in the Summit League Championship game. I think his career high in threes was like 4, and he made 5 in the first half against the Bison. He's in the portal now. I will say this. You may disagree with me. I'm sure you will. I think the path is wide open for the Bison to be the top team in the Summit next year on the men's side. I do. Oral Roberts is not going to be as good. The Jacks are not.
I was trying to think who's on SDSU.
The Jacks are they're not be as good next season. I'm telling you. Even if Grant's not here, which I don't think either one of us believe he will be, I think the Bison have a heck of a chance to win the league next year.
I think
they made it to the title game this year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think they do. Especially if you have like the core group. Obviously, Grant, I don't think it's going to come back.
Grant's not going to be
But if
here.
you have Bowden come back, if you have Andrew Morgan come back, Josh Strite really stepped up this year.
And the Bison are going to add a couple guys too.
Yeah.
The departure of McKinney and Yoder, while people may roll their eyes at, that's 2 scholarships though that are open. And likely 3. Let's just call it as it is. The Grant's not going to be here. There's going to be a third out there.
Do you think that Derek Dissett will come in and play?
I think he'll get a look. Yep.
Well, that'll be interesting to see what he does.
They really like Noah Feddersen too, the kid that redshirted this year from Menominee, Wisconsin. I think they like him too. So
yeah, it'll be interesting.
We'll see. You went to South Dakota earlier this week for getting ready for the NFL draft. Tell us about what's up.
I did. That was so fun. So me, Kyle, and Matt Hopper, we went down. I feel so bad for them. I was like, guys, this is going to be a long shoot. So we woke up at like 4:30, left here at like 5:36, drove all the way down to South Shore, South Dakota to spend the day with Spencer and his family on Spencer Wagee on his farm. So we were there from like the crack of dawn till like 3 in the afternoon. It was so fun. We got to see what he got to do with all of his cows. And it was like we're doing a documentary type of thing to show his blue collar background. And I didn't realize how much that shaped him to be the football player that he is today. So I'm excited about it. I've always wanted to do.
Well, it's calving season. So did one happen?
So I didn't realize like this is like the slower part of calving season. So he said the day before there was nothing happening. He was like, this would have been a really boring day. But as soon as we got there, he was like, yeah, we just had a cow that was born 20 minutes ago. So we're going to go and get it. And I have never seen something like a baby like that was just freshly born. It was so cool. And I was telling Hopper and Kyle, I was like, if we're seeing this cow getting pulled out of another cow, I might throw up. I have such a weak stomach. So we thankfully didn't see that part. They didn't have to do that. It was just the birth went well. So they got it, put it in a little crate. We got to see the process of what they do when they bring it back to the farm, how they vaccinate it. We got to feed the cows. We got to go in the tractors. It was so fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
When can we expect to see this on TV?
Not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
So next Sunday night on Sports Sunday. Okay.
On Sports Sunday, it'll be a little bit of a longer feature,
awesome.
But it's cool. I'm really excited, and it's been fun to put together.
And anticipation, of course, of the NFL draft, where Spencer we talked about it a couple weeks ago, had a heck of a pro day, and he's an interesting guy. And it's, again, to show kind of where some of these guys come from. You got to see that up close.
I did.
That's awesome.
Did. So we talked with him and his dad and just learned so much about Spencer and, the conversations he's been having with the scouts, too. He has a shot, so we'll see.
Cool. That's coming up next Sunday, not this coming one. A week from Sunday, so April 23rd is when you can look for it. Okay, are you ready to do round 2 of this? If you missed it last week, we have started a new segment each Friday when Logan comes in to ask, how well do you know Virginia?
Not well,
so the
apparently.
Guy, you did all right last week. The guys told me, though, the music sucks, so they changed the music for our segment. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good way. I think that's probably accurate.
All
so
right.
I did 4 questions this week, okay?
They're
more sports heavy than anything on this, okay? So I think hopefully you'll do well.
I'm ready.
It's funny you're talking about the Commanders' last playoff victories. Who was the last team they beat in the playoffs? The Washington Commanders' last playoff win was against whom?
Oh, I know this one. Because when I was there, they were in the playoffs and they played against this team, and it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow, there it is.
That's why I know
Bam.
that.
January 7th. I have no recollection. January 7th, 2006.
2006.
How old were you? Like 7?
I was 8. 7. Yep, I was 7.
I have no recollection of that game.
I don't either. I don't even know if I watched that game.
I have to look that up here before we finish.
Depends on the time slot that it was played, as if I watched that game.
Oh, my God. That's fantastic. All right. Bang. We got one right out of the chute.
All right, starting off strong.
Okay. We're going to keep it with the Commanders here.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
All right?
Okay.
They've been in the Super Bowl 3 times.
Yes.
Okay. Name 2 of the teams they have beaten in the Super Bowl.
Buffalo Bills.
That's 1.
I can give you all 3.
Oh, go for it here. Big shooter.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins.
Ooh.
Let's go. Was I right? The Broncos, yeah. Can't talk today. That was right. Right?
They beat Buffalo in
so
Super Bowl
confidently.
26. They beat Denver in Super Bowl 22. And they beat the Dolphins in Super Bowl 17.
All right. 2 for 2. Let's go.
The other Super Bowl they played in was Super Bowl 18. They lost to the Los Angeles Raiders 38-9. All right. 2 for 2. On fire.
Who would have thought? Not me.
Question 3. Who did your beloved Washington Nationals beat to win the World Series?
Houston Astros.
Whoa.
That's only because I remember I was like, Eric, no, they're not that easy. But that one I remember because I told you this. I was up in D.C. literally that whole entire series. Me and all my friends that we missed so much school because we're like, we're going to be in D.C. when they win. We're going to be in D.C. when they win. And they were going to win in D.C. Then they lost. So I was outside in the pouring rain in an outdoor bar when they won the World Series. And I was like, this is the best day of my life.
All right, so I'm reading up on the box score of January 7th, 2006.
Okay.
It was a 4:30 game in Tampa.
Okay.
Okay, it was on ABC.
I literally do not remember.
Washington gained 120 yards of offense in the game and won.
Defense wins championships.
Washington linebacker Marcus Washington recovered Tampa Bay running back Cadillac Williams' fumble and returned it 7 yards for losing it himself into the arms of Sean Taylor, who then ran it 51 yards for Washington's second touchdown. I literally have no recollection of this game.
Neither do I.
But that is the last
But I don't remember
Washington
anything from
win.
when I was 7, which is probably a good thing.
All right, the last one is the hard one.
Oh,
and it's not
gosh.
a sports question. I'm just going to tell you
no.
right now.
Is it a math question? Because
Not a
I'm
math
walking out the door.
question.
Okay, good.
All right.
Can't do math.
There are 8 presidents that have hailed from the state of Virginia.
Oh,
Name 5 of them.
Okay.
5. There's 8 total. You got to give me 5 of them.
James Madison.
Hey, I knew you get
Obvious.
that one.
Thomas Jefferson.
That's 2.
Does George Washington count?
3.
Oh, man.
Give me 2 more. All you need, I need 2 more.
I'm trying to think of the schools around me that were.
You got G-Dubs, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. The other ones are harder, I would say. They're not. One of them is well known. The others are not.
Well known.
If you know anything of U.S. history.
I said, this is hard.
Come on, this is your state.
I'm trying to think of the schools. They're all
This
like,
is your
all the
state.
schools were named after the generals, and then they all switched the names. So I'm trying to think of. Oh my gosh.
2 of these guys, 3 of them, I'd be stunned if you knew who they were.
Did they sign the Declaration of Independence?
One of them did. The one you haven't mentioned did.
Can I get a hint for that one?
His name is also James. First name of James.
My president knowledge is not up to par. Another president named James.
From Virginia.
James.
He was right after Madison.
James.
Monroe. James Monroe.
No, I wouldn't have said that.
You're not going to, I don't know if
What
you're
are
going to get
the
the
other
other ones. William Henry Harrison.
I didn't.
Old Tippy Canoe.
No,
he was president for like 2 minutes.
Didn't know he was a president.
John Tyler.
Who?
That's what most people say. Zachary Taylor.
No.
The other one was Woodrow Wilson. I thought you might get him.
I should have. I didn't even know he was from Virginia.
He was from Virginia.
Dang, I gotta freshen up on my president history. And it's funny because history was my favorite subject.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
that didn't show here.
No, it didn't.
8 presidents. That's the most.
If you want to ask me anything about the tobacco growth in the 1600s, I can answer all the questions about that.
I'll write that down. We might do that next week.
Okay, because that's all we learned about, I feel like, every single year in history.
Give
Don't
us
ask
about
why.
the Jamestown colony. I'll get us ready for that.
Lost
All right.
colony. I can
All right.
all the colonies. We can do stuff with that.
Boom.
Oh gosh, now I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Thanks for coming in. 3 out of 4. That's
Not
good.
bad.
That's
That's
good.
a great
Very good.
improvement from last week.
We're trending in the right direction.
Exactly. Can only go down from here.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Logan Campbell joining us each and every Friday. We'll take a break. We come back. Brad Schlossman around the bend. Give us the update on UND hockey and saluting the great career of Jonathan Taves. We'll do that when Hot Mike continues after this.
Time to chat some hockey.
Shot score! North Dakota wins!
The best college hockey writer in the country is on deck.
North Dakota, champions of the college hockey world!
Here's Brad Schlossman.
Always great to get a visit with Brad as we get ready to wrap up the week. Who, when we had him on the show in October, and I asked him who's going to play in the national championship game, and then lo and behold, that's who ends up playing in the national championship game. You can dine out on this for the rest of the time, my man. Go for it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna, my back's gonna be pretty sore from patting myself on there all off season here now after getting that right. But yeah, great championship game between 2 teams that I thought were gonna be pretty good this year.
I wanted to talk to you about this, that I've seen the story now. The championship game was the most viewed Frozen 4 game on ESPN since 2011. That's what the network said earlier this week. The game had 808,000 viewers, up 100% over last year. The championship game reached a high of 1.1 million peak viewers, which I find funny that had the game not ended so quickly in overtime, Brad, I think more people would have seen online, hey, the national championship game is in overtime, to flip it on, that it could have been even higher than that.
Yeah, if they wanted to flip on for overtime, they better have been quick. It lasted 10 seconds. So, no, it was obviously, as you said, great numbers there. In person, I thought the crowds were fantastic.
Awesome.
Yep. Tampa continues to be just a fantastic site for the Frozen Four, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't continue being part of rotations. I think the overwhelming sentiment I get from people who go there is that it's one of their favorite places to go to the Frozen Four. It's a great site weather-wise, of course, and I think college hockey fans, after long winters in their communities, which are all in the north except for Arizona State, they like going somewhere that's warm in the spring. And on top of that, the people there just do a tremendous job with everything surrounding it. So
another great Frozen Four that Tampa hosted.
I remember you telling me that when you went down with our whole contingent when UND won it in Tampa in 2016, that everything, the proximity for hotels is right there next to the arena, that it just makes for a slam dunk experience that, I know they like to rotate it around, but if they wanted to put it on a semi-permanent basis, I don't think you wouldn't get any arguments, would you?
No, I really think, they kind of award Frozen Fours in groups of years of four. And, I really think we're going to see Tampa quite frequently in the mix because it's just such a unanimously positive experience for people. And I think when they first hosted it there in 2012, the Frozen Four had always been in a northern location. I shouldn't say always. It did go to Anaheim one year, but it almost always was. And everyone saw that and they said, what are they doing? Why are they going to Tampa? And right out of that Frozen Four, everyone just raved about it and loved it. And so then 2016 happened, same thing. Everyone raved about it. 2023 again. So I think we'll continue seeing Tampa as a host. And I think that also is good for the NCAA committee to look outside traditional hockey markets, and they did so in 2026. It'll be in Las Vegas.
What do we think the reaction is going to be there? I mean, that's going to be a slam dunk.
That to be a great one. It's going to, it's a great arena. It's a great area. Lots of hotels right there, of course. So I think it's been great for the sport to go to different sites like that.
It just, the environment was, I remember we did this show, gosh, how long years ago, Buffalo had it. You could shoot a cannon through there. And I love Buffalo. Yeah. Buffalo's a great hockey town.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Who wanted to go? Nobody wanted to be there,
Yeah, I think one of the signs is, that 2020, the Frozen Four was going to be in Detroit. Yep. And it got canceled because of the COVID. And then they awarded another round of Frozen Fours. And I think everyone assumed they were going to give Detroit its Frozen Four back, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And the ticket sales weren't great there. And I think they said, hey, it was not going to be a great Frozen Four. Let's try something else like Vegas. And they did. And
it'll be great.
I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
I have this question. I don't know how to phrase it better than this, but is it good for college hockey that Quinnipiac won? Obviously, I think it's better when Minnesota is good, UND's good, that the sport has more popularity. But Quinnipiac, it's not like they've been some Cinderella that came out of nowhere. They've been really good. Is it better for the sport that they won this thing?
I think it's encouraging for teams that don't get the first round picks. Some of the big name schools get all these high profile recruits and the big names. And the one thing that makes college hockey unique to every other college sport is junior hockey. There's an equalizer. A lot of these players can go play juniors for 2 or 3 years and come in as older players. And that's how these teams that don't get the super high-end NHL prospects can combat that. And in other sports, everyone's bringing in players the same age. And if you don't have the high-end players, that's what happens. You can't have a Bowling Green can't have their football players go play 3 years of juniors and then have 25-year-old seniors on the offensive line. If they did, they would probably be able to equalize things a little bit more, but they can't. And college hockey does that. And that's why you can see some of these teams like Quinnipiac, who does an outstanding job finding these older players who are both skilled, and physically mature, and build a dominant team. This wasn't a Cinderella. This was a really, really good hockey team.
The only thing I can make comparison is like BYU when they get guys back from mission trips that are like 25 and 20, but they don't get 40 guys. You know what I mean? They get a couple. Yeah. They don't get 30 guys back.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's just a unique set of circumstances, and that's why I think right now, next year, there will not be a single team in college hockey that has an NCAA tournament streak longer than 5 years. Not one.
Wow.
So it is tough in this environment to sustain success. And, I think we're seeing different teams that can pop up and have success. And Minnesota State Mankato is another one. They have done a great job finding older players who have good skill levels and in developing them. So, it's a unique sport in that way.
I look at, you were out there. They built a brand new arena. I mean, they have invested mightily. Like we're going to put all our eggs in the men's hockey basket, and it's worked out, obviously.
For sure, they have a nice new arena there. That's not, I don't know, maybe it's a little over 10 years old now, but still, it's a beautiful campus. It's right on a hill overlooking the ocean. You can see why they get kids to come out there. It's, so yeah, they've definitely had success, and, Rand Pecknold's done a great job picking out these older players. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy for these schools to pick out older players. A lot of teams do it, but there are teams that do it extremely well, and Quinnipiac's one of them.
Yeah. Last night, I found myself watching this, of watching Jonathan Toews play his final game with the Blackhawks as they wrapped up. The Blackhawks made the announcement that they're not going to re-sign him. Toews has been in and out of the lineup over the last couple of years. He goes and scores a goal. I mean, he and Patrick Kane rebuilt that franchise, as you well know, Brad. They won 3 Stanley Cups. How he took his talents from UND and then immediately became almost an NHL superstar like that. How will we remember? First off, is he done? Do you think he's going to keep playing, or do you think last night was it?
I've been of the thought he's definitely going to keep playing somewhere else.
Okay.
After watching his post-game interview last night, I'm not quite as sure. Like, he was talking about all the things he wants to do in life that he's missed out on with hockey, that he wants to, sort of step back and be with family and friends and see where life takes him. And just the way he was talking, I was like, I'm not 100% certain he is going to play again next year. If you made me bet on it right now, I would say yes. But I'm not as certain after watching, some of his comments at the end last night. So it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, it was, a golden era for Chicago hockey. Jonathan came in with Patrick Kane, and I think when people look back on that era, they will look back at those two as, Driver and, I don't know, those two guys will be intertwined. Is what I want to say. And in leading the Blackhawks to those great years, and they're different players, and they complemented each other really well. And, just not too many guys. The list of players who have captained 3 teams to Stanley Cups is pretty short.
The fact, for people that don't know, he's battled basically the effects of long-term COVID, which kept him out of the lineup, and it's really been scary, honestly, when you've read about it and heard him talk. It's like, boy, guy who was at the peak physical form has not been able to come back and play hockey.
Definitely. And when you know how Jonathan takes care of himself off the ice and how into nutrition he is, he's a guy who's does everything right, and the way it's affecting him, we should bring that point up. If Jonathan is fully healthy, he's absolutely playing next year.
Right.
I think the health is a question mark. Can he get back? Can he feel better? I think that's the ultimate question mark of whether he's going to play again. Because if he feels good, I really think he's going to play, and I think he could have several years. I mean, we just saw Zach Parise, aged 38, score over 20 goals this year. And I think Jonathan is the type of player who can do that. I always thought he was a guy who's going to play into his 40s in the NHL, and if he's healthy, I still think he will, because he's the type of player who can be effective even when he's not scoring goals. So hopefully he can get healthy. I think that's the most important part.
The Stanley Cup playoffs begin Monday. Give us you're red hot on predictions, so let's do it. What do you got for the Stanley? Who's in the Stanley Cup final in June? What do you got?
Well, I think everyone's going to be picking Boston.
Yeah.
They had just an amazing regular season, so I'm going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Ooh.
I'm going to go off the board a little bit, and
okay.
we'll see if my predictions extend to the NHL or not. But I'm going to say Carolina makes a run this year.
Okay.
I like their team quite a bit. They've been right there, really close to doing it the last couple of years, and they've gotten knocked out. But I think they have a great young core there that has a chance to surprise some people in the playoffs.
Who are they
this year.
playing? Who do you got them playing?
Oh man, the West is up for grabs, really.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with, let's say, Vegas for Colorado's like the trendy pick. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that.
That's fine.
I think Colorado could do it.
Yep.
I think they've been red hot lately, but
all right.
If Vegas gets the goaltending, they can be a tough team. So maybe we'll throw
How about
Vegas
that?
and Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina, and Las Vegas, Nevada for the Stanley Cup. Now that would be fun. I'll throw you one here. I'm going to say Toronto and Edmonton. How about that? We get we get no American teams in it. Let's do it.
Edmonton's playing really well right now. You kind of feel one of these years Connor McDavid is just going to
right. He's got to do something.
Drag them,
right?
But they need goaltending to stand up.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if it does this year.
Great to see you, man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
There he goes. Brad Schlossman does a great job covering everything college hockey. He's been all over it with UND, basically rebuilding its roster. You can check that out at GrandForksHerald.com. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap up the week and get you ready for the weekend. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps right after this on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Wrapping up our week here. TC Bear is dunking on the Yankees? Really? One game, buddy boy, in April. As my dad would tell me, what month is it? What month is it? That's what he always comes back with me. What month is it? It's April. It's April, Dad. I'm well aware. Yeah. But you know what? Twins fans out here, they'll take whatever they can get. And if it's a big time win over the Yankees, they'll do that and then some. I got an email in. Yes. Email comes in. Dom, is that Luigi and Mario behind you? Yes, it is. I got a new addition to the set here, right over my left shoulder. And because the movie made apparently $1 gajillion, the Jackman it wants to go. I'm not sure if we're in the age bracket yet, but as a kid who grew up with my Nintendo, I got in 1989, which was like the most prized possession I had. Yeah. So when he saw Mario and Luigi on and his eyes lit up, I'm like, all right, well, we're going to have to do that. So, yes, the plumbers are here. Mario and Luigi. Hopefully I don't need any plumbing in my house, unlike last spring, but Mario and Luigi, yes, they are here. So I appreciate you noticing the new additions to the set. Let's get you ready for what to watch before we get out of here on this Friday. Great sports night for those that are into that. How many cliches can we throw out here? Do or die, win or go home. Season's over if you lose. Throw them all out for the Timberwolves tonight as they take on the OKC Thunder. 8:30 on ESPN. The winner of this will be the 8th seed in the Western Conference and play the Denver Nuggets on Sunday in Game 1. By the way, those times have come out. If the Wolves end up winning, be prepared for some late nights, folks. I think we got tip times at like 9:30 Central Time. It's brutal. But you'd rather have that than not at all. And they'll play tonight against Oklahoma City. That's preceded by Chicago and Miami in the winner-take-all game in the East. The Twins and Yankees play Game 2 of their 4-game set, 6 o'clock tonight on Bally Sports North. We mentioned it'll be Louis Varland starting tonight for the Twins as Kenta Maeda going to get a couple extra days of rest, and Varland will make his second career start at Yankee Stadium. And it's the final night of the NHL regular season. The Colorado Avalanche play the Nashville Predators tonight. Why that's relevant for you Minnesota Wild fans, because we still don't know who the Wild are going to open up with in the Stanley Cup playoffs. If Colorado wins tonight, the Wild will play the Stars. Okay? If the Avalanche lose, then Minnesota is playing Colorado in the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dallas has been red hot. Dallas won 6 games in a row to wrap up the regular season. So I don't know if you want them either. But we'll find out tonight, and we'll know on Monday. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Mason Walters, Logan Campbell, and Brad Schlossman, to all of our guests this week for a great week of shows. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and we'll be back Monday to recap it all. We'll see you then on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com.